start doing my MVP and USPs. Workshop number 5. This marks the halfway point of the program. We have done 4. We've got today, then we'll have 4 more left, okay? The halfway point of workshops. Today, we're going to be using your wild ideas, your idea ingredients, your customer and competitor research to define your MVP. Now, I'm going to explain what that means later on today. Define your USPs. We spoke about that last week. Your unique selling points, what makes your business unique and different and stand out from the crowd. And we're going to start defining your prototype, which you will take towards your test. Going to explain all of this today, guys, so don't worry about that right now. But we've got some session goals, and I'm hoping, I know that by the end of the session, you will have defined your MVP using your wild ideas, your idea ingredients, your customer and competitor research, all the hard work you've already done. You will define your USPs as well, okay? Your unique selling points, what makes you stand out from the crowd. And you're going to have an idea, hopefully, from some inspiration and some awesome guest speakers we have today around what your prototype for your test might actually be. So the agenda for today, I'm just going to introduce the session, and then we're going to go straight into a breakout and start choosing what your idea is. We're going to look at what actually an MVP is and the journey of an MVP and getting to that MVP. And then we're going to hear from Mazen with a champion presentation about his journey on this program that you are on and how he got to his MVP. To have a little breather, a little 5 minutes, and then we're going to go back out for a one-to-one breakout with your buddy where you'll be looking at your own MVP and your own USPs and start writing them down. We're getting to the business end of the idea stage now. And then I'm going to talk to you for about 10 minutes about the test coming up, but also some to-dos, because today's a busy workshop. We're not going to do everything we want to do in it. So you've got to take this forward into your to-dos next week with your buddy. So you may remember that when we spoke about the program, we spoke about it in 3 phases, okay? And we are in the ideation phase at the moment, right? Your idea and looking at what your idea is. The testing phase of the program is what we are going into, right? And this is where you will put your idea to the test before moving forward to its launch or choices about what you want to do next and what steps you need to take to get towards your own goals. Now, we've done loads of work on ideas, exploring wild ideas, idea ingredients, customer and competitor research. And I'm sure that your idea, what you came in with, might have changed a little bit. Maybe you've added new ingredients. Maybe you've added to the idea. I'm sure you'll be doing loads of research on your customers, on your competitors, and you're starting to think about what it actually will look like as a business, okay? As well as identifying your strengths and your resources with your turn coach. We're now really excitingly stepping into the testing phase of the program. So your idea is solidifying and we're going into the testing phase. There we go. What does that mean? We have a really exciting 5-week testing phase of the program, and the next few weeks are going to be so exciting, okay? They're going to be really busy, and the next 3 weeks, we're going to be preparing to test our product or service with real people. And then the 2 weeks after that, we're going to be gathering and analyzing our test feedback. But today, we're looking at our MVP and the first version of an MVP. I'll explain what that stands for later on. I don't want to throw too many words at you right now. And then next week, in person, we'll be planning your test and creating a prototype for you and designing your test to be able to take forward to actually then test it on the 7th of 8th of July with real users and real customers, real people, okay? And all of this is so that you can get feedback to learn and fix and analyze on your MVP to make it better for the one that you actually take and is real and you take to customers, all right? So next week, we're going to be learning all about the prototype and what you might want to do with that prototype, but I'll be talking about it today as well, okay? So when I mention it today, I might not fully explain it in terms of building it, but we will be doing that next week, so don't worry. We're focusing today on the MVP. So you'll remember this slide from Wild Ideas and the process of design thinking, right? Where we are taking our ideas and putting them through this fancy terminology called design thinking, this business development process, okay? Developing real solutions to real problems to make a very valuable service, right? So you know your customers now, you've come up with some wild ideas and you're starting to choose an idea. We'll be looking at a prototype and then you'll be testing this to be able to get to an MVP with USPs that fits your customers' needs and you can take to market. Now, we're still at this stage, okay? We're only in 5 weeks of an ideation program. So we're still in this stage, right, at the beginning, but we are going up the scale and we're going to start getting really busy, okay? So we'll be looking at actually taking an idea forward. Now, when we do that, please remember, do not forget who you're doing this for, your customers and who they are, right? Your customer research, your personas, your segmentation, right? It should all give you a really good understanding of their problems, their needs, their desires, and ultimately who you're doing this for. So if you have in your heart your customers, then your purpose is going to be fulfilling their needs, their problems, and their desires. Now, I want to just go into a breakout early on, but we're going to start. Does everyone remember this vision for my life before starting the program? On the ICE Academy, right? Where you worked with your turn coach about setting out what you want 3 years from now, what you want in 12 months time, and what you want by the end of the program. This is your vision. This is the reason why behind everything. This is the oil, right? In your journey, what makes you want to go forward and where you see your life going. Okay, this is your big vision, what you're working towards in your life, but also in your business idea. And what we're going to do now is it's time to choose your idea. Now, I know that many of you might not be able to choose your idea yet. You might have a few ideas, but what I want to say now is really, I would recommend choosing this idea. And it's really important because people who have chosen an idea on this program and they take one idea forward, doesn't mean they have to do it forever. But if they have taken this one idea forward, then they get more from the program and there's a deeper learning experience. So it's time to get into the roadmap. It's time to get specifically into the chosen idea and why this idea section and start choosing and summarizing your business idea in 3 or 4 sentences. Now, maybe you've already done this. Great. Then actually, let's look at the why, okay? What actually excites you about this business idea? What is it that really is your driving force behind it? What excites you about it? And also, what are the strengths and skills that you already have or that you might need to make this idea real? Right? And finally, what's the big vision? What do you want to see with this idea? Where do you want to go? How far do you want to go? Okay, in a few years' time. Remember your journey journal, right? Look at your journey journal, go back to it and remember what is the big vision. It's so important, right? You're all working towards something in your life and that vision in your life, and that's so important. It's your guiding light, if you will. So we're going straight into a breakout. We're going to go in for 20 minutes, not 25. And we're going to look at my chosen idea and why, and choose one idea in this breakout to move forward with. Start establishing the why in the roadmap, work in the roadmap. Why? What is it? What's the reason why you're doing this idea? Where's your passion? What's your driving force? And what's the big vision for this idea? As always, that is in your Google Drive, but we're going to go straight in. So has it...
Sorry, say that again.
Does anyone have any questions before we go into the breakout? I believe not. Okay, brilliant. Okay, so let's get idea choosing and get into it. Ellie, if you could open the breakout rooms. Nasina? Oh, she's coming. Great. Okay, I'll go jump into each one. Alistair, do you want to jump in? Is that all right? Can you join okay?
Yeah, sorry, I'm not seeing the join option. Oh, I think I've
got it.
No.
Ellie, jump in with Baha, sort it, mate.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'll go with Baha.
All right. I'm going to move you into another room and then into another one. So if you click accept into the Arsenal room, after
Okay.
Arsene Wenger. I'm not a Liverpool fan. I'm not an Arsenal fan, so
okay, I've got it.
And then I'll swing you into the other one.
Okay.
Cheers. Settled an idea to take forward. And if you haven't settled an idea to take forward, you know, I think you'll get so much more from this whole program if you do. Now, when we're looking at the final MVP, oh, someone's on mute. Yeah, it's a blank screen. I know. I'm going to the next.
We can see your notes.
Wrong way. Thank you. How about now? Oh, no, I've just done something weird to my screen now. I can't see my own notes.
You could have a cup of tea, Lucas, and we could read.
Yeah, if you want, although it's not my handwriting, so you actually probably could read it. Can you see now?
No.
Now? Or is it still my notes?
Yes.
No, you good. You good.
I'm good. All good. Yes?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Let me start that again. So, when we look forward today at the final MVP, we're going to be calling it a market-ready MVP, right? One that you're going to take to real customers. But this comes later. What we're looking at now is the first MVP that you'll be designing and putting to test. And it's going to become more and more clear throughout the design thinking process. But you've been thinking about your customers, and you've been thinking like an entrepreneur now. And you've been looking at the problems, the needs, and the desires, okay, that impact people and impact your customers, right? And this is you're the solution to these problems, needs, and desires. So you know who your potential customers are. You've created your personas. You've expanded those personas into segments. And now many of you are doing even more market research to really understand those segments, problems, needs, and desires. And it's important to remember that as you go forward, because ultimately this is who you're doing it for. So maybe your idea is shifted from a very creative idea in your mind to actually now having real features that are essential and serving your customers. And it's something that's really valuable to them. So let's start at the beginning of any business, right? The big vision, okay? You've all got reasons why you're doing this. You've all got a goal in mind, what success looks like and where you're going to. And this process that we're going through is not about dropping that. It's far from it. It's about making sure we get there. It's about making sure you get somewhere really meaningful, because without the vision, you're not really going to want to turn up day in, day out to do this business, right? But we want to make sure you actually get there. But we need to really back up a little bit, not in a bad way, in a good way. We want to have vision. Visions, dreams, they're important, they're good. But we want to make sure we can actually get to that vision and get to those dreams. So we've all got to start somewhere. So we're down at the bottom here, right, with your unique idea, okay? It's your idea, but you might not yet know how valuable or how popular it's going to be. So there's a lot of work to get into that. So as you can see, there's a lot of steps between the idea and the vision, okay? And one of these steps is defining your MVP. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, is how do we go from this idea to getting it to a point that is really market ready and professional, right? And one you can take and ready to perform, and one you can actually take to the market and give to your customers. But that's even up there. So even when I'm talking about market ready MVP, we're not there yet. We've still got a few steps to get there. And what you want to do as you grow, as you expand, is to include more and more features, right? As you get your sort of, as you launch and you get your first customers. But to do that, you need to take the idea and turn it into a real business concept. And you want to think about all of the research that goes into it and research it enough so that it's really clear, so that everyone understands it. So when you take it and launch it to your first customers, they know what you're talking about. You want to break it down and make it simple so that you can actually start it and give it to your customers. And you also want to make sure that something's very valuable. So it's something your customers really want, right? Now, to make sure, as when you launch it and you get there and you have your market ready MVP, this MVP is going to go through a little bit of a process so that when you do take it to your customers, you're certain that it's wanted, that it's valuable, and that it's there. So before we even take it to the customers, we need to go back again, right, to where we are at the bottom of these steps. And we want to be looking at creating a prototype of the MVP to be able to test. Now, we do need to test the prototype before committing to the MVP, because we need to test it to see if the prototype is actually minimal and actually valuable. So we want to build a model, a sample, an example of this market-ready MVP, which we want to share with real people. So when you do build the prototype, you will end up testing it with real people. And they'll tell you things that they think you did well. They'll tell you things that they think you missed, so that you can go back and you can make an even better prototype and you can test it again. You might be in and out of these steps at the beginning for a little while. Test, 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 test. Remember to listen to your customers. This is how the best businesses do it. This is how they succeed, right? So we're going to do one big test here in the program, but that shouldn't be the only test you ever do. You want to get used to building lots of different models of your proposed idea and different sort of getting lots of feedback from your community and from customers. Now, after you've tested and you've refined again and you've got a better idea of what you're actually offering, you need to make sure that the right people, right, your right customers, hear about what you're doing and they want to be part of it and connected with it. And this is where you start working on your brand and your story. Now, we're not getting there yet. We're still in a much earlier stage. But when your MVP is real gold dust, when you've got that sort of brand and story, you've got your customers behind it, then you can look at your financing, your partners, you're ready to launch, you're ready to take it forward as a sole trader, as a limited company, a charity, a social enterprise, whatever you end up doing. But you can really take that forward then and go out to the world and take it out to customers, and ultimately you get to running and growing your business and working towards that big vision. Now, I'm aware I've thrown a lot of terms at you. MVPs, market-ready MVPs. What are we doing? I want to show you these steps just so you see where you are on the journey. What do I mean by that? Now, an MVP, we're going to go away from that prototyping and testing and working up. We're going to look at the MVP, which is the minimum valuable product. This is your gem. This is your diamond in the rough that you've got to find, right? That is your larger idea. So we want to break it down and understand exactly what this MVP is. You've got 3 words here: minimum, valuable, and product. Number 1, minimum. When you start, you can't do the entire thing you want to do, right? You can't do your big vision straight away. We're not saying forget about it. It's very important. Keep your big vision. Keep where you want to go. But minimum is good for so many reasons. Firstly, it's less expensive. Big one, number 1. Number 2, it's much easier to start, right? So this is the simplest version of what you want to do. You might have loads and loads and loads of ideas in your big idea, but maybe you want to start with the simplest version. It's your starting point. You're starting at the first step. Now, of course, there's lots of different ideas. Never lose those ideas. But finding the one that is most valuable to others, affordable for you, doesn't take so long to make, is also the real art form of an entrepreneur. And never forget that, because less is really more sometimes. Number 2, valuable. Now, valuable is also a word that kind of means possible or has potential. Now, we call it minimum valuable product because we're always thinking about our user. We're always thinking about the customer. So we put an emphasis on value, on how useful and how much of a value it is to someone, because it needs to serve your customer. Otherwise, they're not going to buy it. They're not going to engage with it, right? If you give something they don't want, are they going to buy it? So focusing on people using your business because it's so important and so valuable is you want to see what it really is that's valuable that people want. So it means that people like it, but also that people want to pay for it or that people want to use it, okay? So this could be a customer who consumes it themselves or someone who might be funding to provide your service. So I know I've called it an MVP, but you can also interchange product with service. If you're not doing a product, that's fine. Finally, we have product or service. And this is ultimately what it is. This is what is your business, what is, what you're offering. So the MVP will be eventually taken to be market ready, which means professional, as I've said, and you saw how high up the steps that was. And it will have very clear and unique features, but it would be taken really seriously to get out there to compete with other competitors. But you have to, first of all, work out what makes it minimum, is it valuable, and what is the actual product. Now, I want to open it to the floor slightly. So don't be shy. We love engagement, but I'm going to start us off and I'm going to ask the question, can anybody think of a good example of a really good, clever MVP? I'm going to start us off. Does anybody know a slightly small / massive empire called Amazon? Everyone heard of Amazon? Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone's heard of Amazon. I thought everyone's heard of Amazon. Amazon sells everything, right? It's got everything. But did Amazon go in and saying, hey, you can buy your nephew a toy set, a train set for $24.99 and it'll be delivered tomorrow? No, it didn't. Amazon started off selling books. That's all it did. It sold books, right? When it first started, it was a very simple concept that the internet had just come out in the mid-90s and it was going, hey, why don't we start a bookstore on the internet where people can order books and we'll deliver it straight to their house. Books were easy to buy. You could get them kind of anywhere still. Books were easy to ship as well, right? So it wasn't a massive investment for the customer as well. Now, Amazon, of course, you reckon Mr. Bezos just came up with all of these ideas along the way? No, he probably always wanted to build a huge empire of warehouses that he can ship around the world. But he started off small and they iterated and iterated and iterated. They started earning money from it and it gave them the space to be able to grow and do what they're doing today. But it started with a very small MVP. And if you look at that at the beginning to what it is now, it's very different. So I just want to know if anybody else can sort of think of another sort of clever MVP that's just to get thinking today. A business that they can think of. eBay is a great shout, actually. eBay's a really good one as well. Yeah. Kemi, can you expand on that?
You know, before eBay used to be like where people sell used things and you can get things, just similar small things. But now I noticed that even companies are registering it with eBay and they're selling their things on eBay. I can see eBay advertising for other organized small businesses. And I knew someone the other day, they were advertising one fashion show for one of their partners. So it's like it's going to be very soon, it's going to be like Amazon. It's not just selling, they're doing other services also.
Exactly. And it's interesting because you know what's interesting, we'll talk more about USPs, but I actually saw an advert the other day where, as you said, eBay started very much with this sort of, buy secondhand things and a bit of a trading market between people. And it's gone into this Amazon sort of thing, like you say. But I saw an advert the other day where it's going back a little bit, being like, sell your secondhand stuff, because it realized that was its big USP, which we'll talk about later. And it was its MVP as well. And it's bringing that back. It's still very much an Amazon thing, but it's still saying, sell your secondhand stuff. Got a couple of ones in the chat. John, Marks and Spencer. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Well, I think the chat says it all. I think Marks and Spencer started with one store. I think it was in Leeds, and now I don't know. A few of them they have, but there must be hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. And actually, most of these supermarkets often started off with one branch. I think Tesco did. I can't remember where it was, but a lot of them started like that.
And that's a good point, because Marks and Spencer is worldwide now, and that is a good point. And it starts, and someone else has put Morrison started as an original market stall, and it's a good point when you think about the brand and story and getting people behind you, because you can't just go straight into a huge market and expect everyone to go. You build your community, you build from the bottom up, which is what we'll be talking about a lot today. And you build that and then you take it forward. Facebook, what a great example. Anyone remember 2006? You had to be part of a school, you had to be over 18, or a university. It was you could poke people, but they didn't have Messenger, they didn't have Marketplace, they didn't have all of these sort of big things that Facebook's doing now. I'm sure they had the ideas, but they started very, very small, right? And it expanded out from there. It proved itself, it was wanted by its customers, people engaged with it, and it built that success. Now, those are just a few examples. So I'm sure you get the point that I'm trying to make there, right? Which is really around starting small, starting with something you can put out to the market to see if people like it, and then work towards that big vision. Now, as part of this, I've also been talking a lot around prototypes. And a prototype is a model or a sample of your working MVP, right? But it's something that's not your full MVP, but something that's cheap to build, it's easy, but something you can use to show to a real customer to be able to test it, to be able to test a little bit of your MVP. And the reason why is because, you know, it should include the core features and the core parts of your MVP, but maybe not everything, because you don't want to launch your MVP straight away. You want to get it market ready first. And you do that by designing your MVP, designing a prototype, testing it, and then taking it forward, right? So you use your prototype, right, to ask questions to people about the things you're still trying to figure it out. We don't know it all, right? Things you're still trying to learn more about, to unblock your thinking around. Customers and people who you are going to be selling to, you can get so many creative ideas and opinions from them with just a very simple prototype and asking some pretty simple questions, right? Just even through getting people to engage with it. Getting people to talk about it, to have the experience of it, sets you up to learn to be able to get your MVP to a place where it's market ready. And frankly, the experience of building it will also give you a really good insight into what the operational reality of producing it is. So if you're making 3D printers and you think, hey, I can get these out of the living room, left, right, and center, and you make a prototype of one and you're like, oh, this takes like 6 weeks to build a 3D printer, you might want to reevaluate what your MVP is, okay? So it does also give you that operational reality as to actually what you're going into, which is very important. So we're not saying you're not going to be at the big vision. You're going to get there. You know, we just want to show you the steps as to how to get there and what we're going to be doing in the program to follow these steps, right? So we're going to be building this prototype, and we'll be talking much more about this next week. We're going to be testing this to improve it to get to an MVP, right? That's ready to go to market. But if you also look at how this slide started, we start with the MVP today as well. So we sort of do a loop and come back round on ourselves, because the MVP you build today, once you've gone through these 2 steps, is going to look so different to your market ready MVP. In fact, it would be proof that you've taken on feedback, you've taken on learning, you've taken on what your customers want to say, right? And then you've actually got a market ready one. So if your market ready MVP is no different to the MVP that you define today, I would probably honestly be quite worried that you're taking something to market you haven't tested. I'd actually say, go back to the testing stage, listen more, talk to different people, test with different people, and test different features, because your market ready MVP is going to look different to your actual MVP that you designed today, okay? Your business needs clear features. So when you're thinking about designing your MVP, you want to be thinking about what it is you want to start with, right, with your features, and what it is you want to kind of introduce into testing and into prototypes, but also in your MVP. So you want to obviously have your product and service. What is it that you're actually going to be doing? It's pretty important to take this into your MVP, right? But also, people need a very good way of getting this product and service. So you want to have the process and fulfillment features as well. Customer service experience is so important, okay? So, you know, what makes your whole business professional in many ways. So, you know, it's what a really good MVP needs to be very professional. It needs to be very focused around customer service. So you want to be figuring that out and working that out as well. Same as, you know, so for instance, like, how's somebody going to get your product as well, but what's the interaction with you as they get your product? And the story and the brand. This is getting people behind it, getting customers excited, getting people understanding why you're doing it. People like getting on the back of things. People don't just want to interface with a laptop. That's why it's nice, you know, people want to be talking to and doing business with actual people, right? So think about that as well, that story and brand, which will build and you will grow, and your story is very important. And as we get towards the end of the program, you'll really start to be developing that story as you're sort of presenting your business to the world. And of course, Do not forget about your unique selling points or USPs. This is what makes you unique. It's what makes you stand apart from the rest. And it's what makes you different from your competitors. So you might say, though, I can't include all of my USPs in my MVP. And that is possibly true, right? Maybe you can't afford to make them at that point. Maybe you don't want to be doing all of them because you want to be focusing on the minimum. You want to be shredding it down. That's fine. But the reason why we did our first breakout is because you've got to start picking and choosing what's going into your MVP and the start of your business, because we can't have ideas and living in the ideas forever. You've got to write it down, but you've got to start making those decisions on which things are going to then start getting fleshed out and start growing. So it is time to make these decisions. And I will be completely honest, less is more. Do not be afraid to remove features from your MVP to keep the costs and the time invested minimal, right? Keep it small for now, okay? Start small, less is more. Starting small, you know, you don't want to start too soon, but you can start quicker then. And starting's not too expensive. And a lot of entrepreneurship is really about restraint. It's about carefully planning how to deal with competing priorities, what's more important, what's not. And it's about making those decisions. And it's not easy, but I really, really cannot stress to you enough about making a decision, what goes in, what doesn't, and taking that forward and making it smaller, and less is definitely more. So let's just have a little think about things. And I want to give a little example here, okay? Over the past few weeks, this is my example. I'm setting up a Mexican food stall. This is one for the foodies out there, right? And it's my MVP is a mobile food cart that you can take to lots of different markets, right? But when I'm designing this MVP, I'm thinking about the features and I'm thinking, right, what is it that I really want in this? And you know what? Actually, as nice as it is, I don't think ice cream cart should really be part of my MVP. I'd like to get that at the end, and I'd like to get that at one point, but my main product isn't ice cream. In my Mexican food store, my main product is tacos. So for my MVP, it's a bit annoying to keep ice cream really cold. It's quite expensive. It's a lot of time, it's a lot of money, a lot of energy. It's just not really worth the ice cream right now. Maybe one day I'll have an employee, maybe I'll have a food truck, I can bring it in, but for right now, it's just not really worth it. Now, I'd also love crushed ice and horchata, right? A Mexican drink, but that's also a little bit annoying to do right now. It's really quite expensive to get the machine. The operational hassle's a lot. So I'm going to cut that out right now for my MVP. I'm going to keep my startup and maintenance costs real low because I don't want to just spend because I haven't got the money. Instead, I'm going to put that money into really high quality ingredients and really cool, unique features for your actual MVP, the taco stack, right? Because people are coming to buy my tacos, okay? But I also want to have a freezer full of cold Corona beer after coronavirus, but also Corona non-alcoholic beer because I want it to be inclusive for everybody. So, I want that to be there too, because that's actually not that hard to carry around. I can have a freezer or an ice pack in a cooler and just buy a load of drinks from the shop. And you know what? I want to have a nice umbrella at the top as well. So it's a sunny day like today. People don't want to get sunburned. They can enjoy a cold beer or non-alcoholic beer, and they can have a delicious taco as well. All right. As you can see, this doesn't mean you're doing nothing. It doesn't mean it's bare bones or it's skeleton. I'm actually still doing quite a lot. I'm making tacos, I'm selling drinks, but I've taken out some of the features that actually, right now probably doesn't make sense to do that. Eventually, I'd like to get there. I'd like to do that. But right now, not yet. I'm going to start sort of from the bottom and go up. Okay. So can you see how you don't try to focus and do everything at once? Invest more on the core of your offering. Invest more on the core of your service, on the core of your products. So for the foodies out there, I'm going to give you an example of an MVP journey, right? And this is also a Mexican restaurant. So my big dream, my long-term vision is I want to start a restaurant and I want to start it tomorrow. I'm ambitious. I've got entrepreneurial spirit. I think I can cook and I'm ready to go. So, give me £20,000 on a property tomorrow. I'll put it down and let's go. There's a lot of people walking down the high road right now thinking they could build their dreams with that kind of money. but they'd have no way to actually be sure that their dream is viable and wanted without following the following steps. I mean, you open a restaurant and nobody wants to eat there, you're not going to be successful. So if you're really genuinely interested in the longevity of your business and turning that £20,000 into a very steady, successful, meaningful livelihood, then what I'm going to do is I'm going to scale it back, and I'm going to start with something that is easier to launch and much more affordable. This gives me the space to learn, to reflect, and to grow into the entrepreneurial lifestyle where I end up with a restaurant. But I'm going to go really small. Okay, so I have my scaled MVP there, right? I'm going to go even smaller than that. I've got my food stall that I can wheel around, right? I'm going to go even smaller than that to my prototype. Why? Yeah, I want the restaurant. Of course I do. But I'm actually doing this is because the root of what I'm trying to create is I want to bring authentic Mexican food to the UK. I want to have burritos, chicken mole, flan, enchiladas, Corona beers, everything. But I got to start somewhere. And what's the easiest authentic experience, in my opinion, right? Where people can have that experience, but also have good food. What's the easiest and cheapest way to do that? It's the taco, right? I love the taco. It's the taco. It's the thing that defines my vision of the restaurant. If the taco can be good, and if I can make a good taco, a unique taco, an amazing taco that people love, then I can get those tacos into people's hands. Then, I can get them to pay me for it, and I can grow and I can grow and I can grow. So if my prototype is the taco because I want to see if people love it, then my MVP might be a taco truck, right? And then my scaled MVP, which is a slightly bigger version of that, but not as big as the restaurant yet, might be a food stall, right? Again, I don't go straight from MVP to big long-term vision. It might take me a few steps, and I might be, as I said, up and down the scales for a little while. But you can see I start somewhere, I prove myself, I get the customers, I build it, and then I go up from there. Maybe I build a prototype and they say, your tacos are awful, Lucas, you can't cook. Am I going to then go and open a restaurant if I can't cook? Right? You need to learn that. That's the point. Okay. You need to learn what the customers want. For a service ones out there, right? Let me give you another one. I have a real dream of teaching children yoga. Okay. My sisters have had kids in the last few years and I love yoga. So I thought, hey, this is a really cool idea. Could give children the tools that they need really early on to grow up, connected to their body, feel mindful, fit, healthy. I want to, develop this child yoga classes. I've seen they do yoga in all over the country, but I feel like there's a bit of a gap with kids. However, I also know I've got a very long way before I can get there because I've spent some time researching on Cobra and I haven't got a qualification to work with children with safeguarding. So I need to get one of those first. I haven't finished my yoga teacher training yet. So I can't legally teach yoga in the UK in a classroom. I also am quite aware that my sisters have children, but I don't have any kids and my friends haven't got any kids. So I don't really know that many families around me other than my sisters. So I need to build a bit of a reputation with parents so that I can be working with their children. So obviously there's a lot of research I need to do and a long way to get there. So I'm thinking, okay, what can I do to start with? Well, let me sort of go back again in time and start smaller again. So I might start teaching just simple stretching classes with children and parents in the comfort of their own home. That might be my prototype. I then start building that trust, but also get a feel for it, whether people like it, what do the people think about it and stuff like that. What do the kids want? Do the parents want that? Do they like it? And then maybe when it's going well and I feel a bit more comfortable and I've got my safeguarding qualification and I've also got my my yoga teaching certificate, I might then go and approach as an MVP an existing yoga studio and be like, hey, could you guys, let me rent a space for a little bit? I'd love to actually build my reputation and my brand and use your space, but I could rent it from you so I don't have to put money down on a premises. And maybe they say, yeah, that's cool. And then I start doing that. So then finally, when my classes are selling out, I've rented the space and people are coming, maybe then, I've got a lot more respect amongst parents. They know what I'm doing. They think I'm very trustworthy. And I've got that, but I don't have enough space. Then perhaps I can actually start to go to the bank to ask about a loan so I can rent my own space. you know, but still rent it. So it's not, you know, a full deposit on a property. But people think I'm a safe bet. They're coming regularly. So they come to me. And then, you know, after a while, my big vision, maybe I do buy my my studio on Kingston High Road, and I have a baby or parent and child yoga studio. The point is I'm again from the bottom up, starting small. And starting small doesn't mean losing the big vision. It actually means getting on the right step and the right track towards your big vision. Now, to tell you about this in a much better version than me is my dear friend Mazen Haji Mohammed, founder of eBritish Institute, and he has been through this journey on the program you're on now. Mazen and I worked together, and his MVP test prototype went through many, many, many iterations. And so I want to hand over to Mazen now, our turn champion for this evening. Welcome, Mazen, to tell you about his own journey on iterating an MVP. Mazen, are you with us?
Thank you for having me today. So, may I share my screen?
Yes, please, Mazen, that'd be great.
Can you see it?
Yeah, looking good. We've got the bottom but up. Perfect. Perfect.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mazen Haji Mohammed, the founder of eBritish Institute, which is an online platform for teaching English through live socialization and immersion session. I'm not here today to talk about my business. I like to share with you my journey from my big vision to my ready market MVP. First time I came to turn and join the program of ICE Academy, I have an idea about online academy for teaching English and multiple language. But during the process and start to think and focus about how we start our first step, I decided to go with IELTS preparation. So from online academy to IELTS preparation helps students get their IELTS certificates overseas. So during the process, also to make my minimum viable product, we decide to add an additional 1 hour Q&A for open conversation, have the student interact with real people live here from London, and using Zoom, as you see, Zoom, Mirror, and Padlet, and this is my handmade logo. Then when I did the research of my competitors and my customer, I found it's really huge market, and there is really big name, such as the British Council and the International Language School. So I find myself like, if I continue in this idea, like I'm jumping in the mud. So I started to focus on how I make my service different from other, how we be great about what we are offering, and finding my specific customer, finding my niche. So focusing on the MVP. This slide from my ICE Academy program and my MVP, it was to start like 1 hour session IELTS, then Q&A, and we make it minimum by using only Zoom, and make it accessible to everyone overseas. And what makes us unique to this will be interactive sessions, and the topics will be about the UK and the London landmarks, talking about the culture and what's beyond the language. Our competitors, they can bring their students and learners to the UK, depending on how much they're willing to pay, but we will make it accessible to overseas students. So from the online academy to IELTS preparation, and now we start to focus on the MVP. And this is some photos from my first presentation, try to explain the idea. This is from real life location in London. And the people here, we will interact live with people maybe in China or in Jordan, Dubai, something like this. And we have the prototype ready for our for the online test, and we test the idea with the teachers, with the students, with the people who are interested in e-learning, and we get the most important thing, which is the feedback. I think feedback is really essential for any business to hit the market, and on solid ground, we have to listen to people and to address their need. So the big thing I get it from the test is really less is more. So people suggest focus on my MVP rather than the whole program of IELTS preparation, and maybe later I can offer this service to IELTS provider, maybe the British Council or other international language school. So we decide to focus on this MVP, and we start to try our best to be unique and different from others. You can see this is the slide from my first presentation, and here we are now. This is the eBridge Institute. We teach English through live socialization and immersion sessions. And as we know, as we did the research, no one do that until now. My Market Ready MVP, it's online, still online as the beginning of the idea, still about the language, but not multiple language, only English. And live interaction session with real people. And we will take the outside world to the classroom, and we add value to the e-learning. We are not competitors to other now. We will cooperate with them, and we make it affordability to students overseas. I'm not willing to talk about the business, it's just about the journey. So if you would like to learn more about the eBridge Institute, may Lucas drop something in the chat. I'm going to leave you with some tips from my journey, from my experience with ICE Academy. Aim high, keep your big vision, but break down the idea and start with small steps. Focus on your first step, how you can make yourself unique, different from others, and focus on the only MVP. This will make you unique. This will attract your customer, and yeah, test and test and test. It's really important, and listen carefully to the feedback. Aim high, and step by step, you're gonna reach your goal. Thank you for your listening. And is there any question?
Thank you so much,
Thank
Mazen. Great to have you with us, and yeah, thank you so much. And you know, I just realized then I put in the chat, like we work together, Mazen and I, but seeing how simple, straightforward, short, sharp, snappy your Market Ready MVP is great. You know, that slide with the live socialization and immersion sessions, and it's brilliant to see your journey, and thank you for being with us. I'd love to open the floor if there are any questions for Mazen at all, or in the chat if anyone's got anything around the journey that Mazen went on to really refine his MVP. Oh, Fred's got his hand raised.
But only because I thought there was nothing coming through, but actually there is a question from Victoria.
Mazen, Victoria's asked, what would you do differently a second time round?
So what we do differently, it's our service is completely unique. No one does this live socialization immersion session. We will do it live from a real life location here in London. I will not talk a lot about the business, because if you would like to find out more, I guess Lucas maybe drop some links to the website, and you can find out more about this thing, but I need to tell you, focus about what make you unique, how you can make your vision minimum and viable and valuable to your customer.
And Mazen, have you been able to test from John how much people are willing to pay yet?
We are not about the pricing now. We are just trying to make it unique as much as I can. We collect a lot of feedback from experts from this field, and they offer to work with us and partnering with the International Language School, and also e-learning. They give us a lot of valuable feedback. So how much people they are willing to pay, we price it already. So I hope it will hit the market and solid ground.
And I think that maybe your testing of this will help you with that. Again, test is what you said.
Yeah.
What was the best question? Another one from Victoria. What was the best question you asked potential customers in your test?
How can we improve our service? Yeah. And I still remember the feedback that I get to this question. Focus on your minimum viable product rather than the IELTS, rather than the everything. And you can in the future partnering with IELTS provider, not competitors, but you can cooperate with them. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, actually, Victoria. And Mazen, it's really interesting to hear your response, because I remember when we did the test together, and you were so open to feedback. And I think what you just said there is, how can I improve my service? As a question is like, hey, what am I doing wrong, guys? You tell me. And being so open to that feedback. And I remember how open you were to it. And I think it's been very positive as a result. Fred's got a question in there as well, which is, how much time do you think you saved by going MVP instead of just the big idea of the academy that you came in with?
Well, if I, to be honest with you, if I need to start with academy, it's need a lot of funding, a lot of stuff, a lot of things that I'm not ready. I'm only Arabic tutor here. So I should make it simple as much as I can and viable for the customer. So I save a lot of time by focusing on my MVP and focusing on how I be unique and be different from others. Yeah, I hope this answers the question.
To get big enough to get noticed. Yeah, exactly. And to partner with, rather, as you said in your presentation, partner with rather than compete with the British Council, you know, all the big international ones. Small enough to get started. Anybody else? Any other questions? We've got a little bit of time. If anyone's got any other questions at all. It's a good question. Mazen from Humara, how are you finding the journey?
Honestly, it's I did a lot of projects in my life, but this is the life-changing point. And I told Fred, I'm not just ready for the British Institute. I am ready to start another business. And I should tell you guys, honestly, trust the process. Honestly, trust the process. Yeah.
Mazen, you should fly the flag for us of trust the process. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I think it's interesting what you just said there around, you know, you're ready to start another business, guy. And I just want to bring that back to what I said earlier around that as well, around the you choose now, but there's no reason why you can't take the tools and resources you learn in this program for that. And we've probably got a minute left for one last question, if there is one, while we've got Mazen, who's staying away from the sun to be here tonight. Thank you so much, Mazen. Has anyone else got a question for Mazen? When are you launching, Mazen? Or big question, when are you launching, Mazen?
Yeah, very soon we will start. We will do our last test, because test. I mentioned that test and test and test. It's very important to get the market with something really unique. So we will launch very soon. I guess during this month we will start with our last test and collect the feedback. Then we apply them to our service. Yeah.
Really exciting. Mazen, thank you so much. I've posted the website link in the chat, but also Mazen's LinkedIn. So please do stay in touch, follow the journey. Mazen, you're doing amazing things. You are embodying the design thinking process, which is great to see. And, you know, you're doing great. And thank you so much for being here with us tonight. It's lovely to have you here back at Turn as a champion as well. Always a pleasure to be with you. So please, everybody, join me in thanking Mazen for being here tonight.
Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.
And Mazen, good luck with the rest of the journey, and thank you for sharing your insights. Hey guys, so we're going to go into a breakout really quickly now. We're going to go straight into one, just a little breather. And it's time to start designing your own MVP and thinking about what features are going to go into it, right? So we've gone from our big idea, we've chosen our idea, and now it's from vision to MVP. Please remember in the roadmap, and please remember what Mazen was saying as well. And you saw the first version, you know, that was his document that he was working in. He didn't want to edit it. He wanted to keep it like that because to show you like it was raw and stuff. And that was his first version of MVP, which looks very different to where he is now. Okay. So describe your MVP, describe your minimum viable product or service. Okay. What makes your MVP valuable to your customers? What are the unique features of it as well? So put in your USPs, which you were working on last week, but really, really importantly, what makes it minimum? Mazen was saying he was using Zoom because Zoom you can have for free for 40 minutes and everyone can go on it, right? Or you can pay for it at a pretty cheap cost and host people. That does make it very, very cheap rather than investing in an online software to host things, okay? And can you think back to the wild ideas, think back to, you know, the wow, now, and how, right? How do these fit in? Perhaps not the parking lot right now, but which wild ideas might make it back into your MVP? Maybe this is where they come in as exciting features. How do you bring those wild ideas forward with you? Maybe they change. Which of these ideas are going to go forward into your test, into your MVP, and which ones won't? Okay, so will they come? Will they not? Have a little think about that. All right, so we're going to break out for 25 minutes with your business buddy, and it's all about my MVP and USPs. So please define your MVP. What makes it minimum? What makes it valuable? And define your USPs as well, right? Which unique features will you include? And this is all going to be done in the roadmap in your Google Drive. Any questions at all before we break out? Okay, so coming up next, what are we doing? Got 7 minutes to tell you what's going on, so we finish on time. As always, it's very important to have a very to-do list. Define and prioritize your to-dos. As an entrepreneur, this is one of the most important things you can do. And this week, we've got some suggested to-dos for you. For this week, if it wasn't 100% clear for you yet, you should spend this week speaking to your business buddy, speaking to your turn coach about what the MVP might look like, okay? And solidify your MVP and your USPs in your roadmap. This is really, ooh, got a motorbike in the background. Really, really, really important, okay? Because it's kind of impossible to actually do the test and engage it with real people and get the feedback that you need to learn from it if you don't have it, right? So the main idea is that you want to solidify your MVP and your USP, but it's also there to change. It doesn't have to be the final thing. Mazen showed you his very raw version of it, okay? And the reason why is you want to also start having a little prototype, okay, for your test. Now, maybe you're already thinking about this. Maybe you're not. We're going to cover this a lot next week. But if you have your MVP, you have your USPs, you think about it, what can you take from that to actually put in your test? So you could start drawing this, what it might look like, your prototype, in your journey journal. Maybe it's a sandwich, maybe it's a piece of pottery, Maybe it's a service, in which case you need to get a little bit more creative about it. Okay, you've not got such a obvious products there, but have a little go, and that is on page 24. So get together with your buddy, plan your to-dos for week 5. We are really, getting into it now, and we're quite far into the program. Okay, so please make sure to do those. Now, the test I've been talking about. The test is all confirmed for Thursday the 7th and Friday the 8th of July at the Trampery in Old Street, literally a 3-minute walk from Old Street Station. And the very exciting thing is this is all booked, but I need everybody to pay attention now. We will send you the final address, but you can see it there. But what I need now is I need to know your availability. We have 4 test times. Okay, we're going to explain a lot more next week, so don't worry right now. But what I need is I need you to go into your WhatsApp group right now and post when you are available. You will only be testing once, but you can say you can make 1, 2, 3, 4. If you can make all of them, great. And we will fit you into a slot. There will be between 6 and 8 other testers in the slot, and then about 30, 40 people walking around. We don't know yet, but we'll tell you exactly next week, okay? But the really important thing is, could you please indicate right now in your WhatsApp group, mentors, business buddies, do this as well, so we know if you're not available, because you guys are coming to the test too, and you are helping out the test as well with entrepreneurs. We need to know when you can come, because otherwise we can't organize it. It's as simple as that. Can you come on Thursday, July 7th from 5:30 to 7:15 p.m.? Can you come Thursday, July 7th from 7:15 to 9 p.m.? Can you come on Friday, July 8th from 4 to 6:30 p.m.? Or can you be there Friday, July 8th from 6:30 to 8:45 p.m.? Please put 1, 2, 3, or 4, or as many as you can make in the WhatsApp group, so we know. If you want to be awesome, put the date and time in there as well. That would be amazing, but we know what they are. Just put 1, 2, 3, or 4, and then we will fit you into a slot to make sure that you are confirmed and testing. But we don't want to put you in a slot that you can't make. Okay, so please do that right now. Take a picture of this, do what you need to do. But mentors, business buddies, entrepreneurs, do it right now. I'm going to say it again and again and again. Please, please, please. It will make our life so much easier if we actually know when you can come. And please do not forget to set up a regular habit of logging in once a week to keep an eye on our awesome program community space, Mighty Networks, right, which is our awesome online space. We have the In Good Company 2022 group there, which you can chat on. It's a bit like Facebook. Every week there are awesome scheduled activities. Okay, so please take advantage of the collective brain power of this cohort. There are, let me see the participants, 28 people in this room. That's a lot of people there tomorrow as well. We're stronger in numbers, guys. We're stronger together, the collective, right? This has been used in the past couple of years, and it is such a great tool. I can't stress it. So let me just give you a little bit of example. Find your competitors, right? If you log into that, right, and you post below there, you can post on there some examples of your competitors, okay? And you can show everybody who your competitors be. But as a result, what you might get is you might get Fred, the co-founder of Turn, or Charlie, the co-founder of Turn, or Ellie, or myself, or Erin, or loads of the Turn team coming and commenting and being like, hey, have you checked out these guys too? Or you might get mentors from this cohort being like, hey, check out these guys. Or you might get other entrepreneurs. We will be able to get so much more research done if we work together on it. And we love giving tips and sharing and talking together. It's also a big part of community building. And actually seeing all of these different businesses without just going Google, whatever the business is similar to mine, will give you a competitive edge, because it will help you to really figure out, not just in London, not just in the UK, but also globally, seeing how other people are doing it. And it will help you to figure out your USPs and really finding a way for your business to completely stand up. Okay, so the Turn app is this online group, right? Mighty Networks is a resource there for you, but it only works if you use it. Simple as. Okay, so please start logging in, start using it, start posting. It's awesome. It's a great tool. You can talk to our champions about it and they will all say exactly the same thing. And this week coming up, we have share your MVP and USPs. Okay, so you can maybe share some of your USPs, you can get some feedback on it, and you can really start developing the idea. Now, if you're like, what is Mighty Networks? What's going on? Why am I only just hearing about this? Let your turn coach know. Okay, we can help you get onto it in about 2 minutes. It's super easy. So just let us know. Now, looking ahead, what's coming up? Okay, do your to-dos, solidify your MVP and your USPs. Really, really, really important. Coaching session 2. If you haven't booked it already, I know I sent the cohort that I work with some messages being like, please book with me. If you haven't booked already, please book. Let's get these coaching sessions in. Really important before the test, so we all know we're on the same page, but also to set some goals for the test and where you want to get towards. Your coach will send you a Calendly link. Please do that. Test prep. Post in your WhatsApp group which day and time you can make. Again, I'm doing it again. Please post. It makes our life so much easier. If you don't do it right now, do it tomorrow, do it next week. We will chase with you. Workshop number 6, test prep next week in person. Very important reminder, we're back in person again. And Mighty Networks, get on Mighty Networks and get posting. So next week, we're going to be looking at test prep in person. It is at the King's Place WeWork in King's Cross, the same place where we did the Wild Ideas one. We'll send you a reminder. We'll send you the invite. We'll send you everything on WhatsApp that you need to know. But please don't come to Hoxton where I am right now. Go to King's Cross. Make sure you go to King's Cross. It's in person. How exciting. I love in-person workshops. It's going to be great to see you all again. I'm really excited. We got some good food and we got some great content because we're going to be sharing your MVP and USPs. So you want to get it to a point where you can present it. You want to be designing how you're going to show, tell, and ask your testers to engage about your business idea and your MVP. And we're also going to be looking at designing methods to collect quantitative and qualitative feedback. We'll explain all of what that means next week, but it's a super great workshop in person. Adele's back. She'll be delivering it. Can't wait to see you there. I'm 1 minute over, which I think is a personal record at 7:46. Please give me some feedback. Give us some feedback. We love feedback is what we've been saying today, and we cannot do what we do without your feedback. And I've just said feedback 10 times. On that note, have a wonderful evening. Thank you, everybody, for being here today. You're all legends, turning up again. Keep going. The MVP, the USP, this is your time to sort of shine and then to iterate and continue. And I'm now going to stop talking and say good night.